And it looks like we are live. So I know this is a little late, but we should do it anyway.
This is Tabletop Weekly, and we are the partners of Solarian Games.
I'm James.
And I'm Jason. And Peter didn't want to come tonight because he's very busy with a secret project on the moon. This week's stories. There's new Dragonlance novels coming from Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman in a couple of years, a year and a half, something like that. Brandon Sanderson's Stormlight Archive tabletop role-playing game is nearly at $7 million on Kickstarter. Could be higher by now. Project Sigil is a new toy box for Dungeons & Dragons when you're playing digitally, and the best games from the ENnies 2024.
All right, and Jason, I'll go ahead and take that away with Dragonlance. So let me go ahead here and bring up the article from EN World. That's, as Jason had mentioned to me off camera, that there's a lot of great discussion on this, but let's kind of get into it, and we can stop playing the intro music. Yay! There we go, intro music. So this book is not going to be out yet. Actually, it is going to, I think it's about another year and a half that it's coming out. It's going to be called The War Wizard, and it's part of a new trilogy called I believe there is already a Dragonlance Legacies, or at least there's something like that out there that kind of goes over the history of Raceland, Caramon, and a few of the other characters. But this is a brand new series. The first book, War Wizard, which is going to talk about Huma and his relationship with the wizard Magius, I think it is. Yeah. So some bullet points that Ian posted, which I thought were pretty excellent. So Weiss and Hickman are writing the books together, which is actually really good. I don't know if any of you have actually read the Dragonlance Chronicles out there, but it's an amazing book. I read it when I was 16, and actually, oddly enough, I read it side by side with Lord of the Rings, which got really confusing since they're kind of similar stories in a way. But it's definitely good. Some of the characters are awesome. I've read some of the books after the fact of the Chronicles, but it's good stuff. But they're writing the books together. The question was, will this conflict with the Legend of Huma, which this book is kind of based on? And it looks like that Hickman and Weiss said, well, this is our story. So it looks like there might be a little bit of lore change with that.
So you have to help me out here because I don't know all the Dragonlance novels. Well,
Okay.
to be honest, none of them. I haven't read them. So you mentioned legacies, and I got the idea that perhaps as different authors came into this shared world, that it took some different turns, and maybe it's going back now. Could you, for the uninitiated among me, could you just give me an overview of what this means to have legacies and chronicles and this new storyline? Is it a retcon? Is something changing? What's happening?
Well, so after the Chronicles, other authors took on writing stories within Dragonlance. Because if you remember, this was the time of TSR and we're going to publish novels till our eyes bleed phase of TSR. So I believe there's probably over, or at least close to 50 Dragonlance novels as it stands. Some of them deal with individual characters. Some of them deal with different storylines, different time settings. But again, it's kind of like if you think about like the Star Wars EU, right? So
Expanded universe.
yes. So after when the Star Wars EU started up, and actually those stories are really good. And I won't get into why I feel that Lucasfilm should have went ahead with those, but anyway, um, after Disney bought Lucasfilm, they basically took the EU and said this doesn't exist anymore. It's gone.
Right. I knew about that because I was trying to catch up on Star Wars at one point because I realized that there was all of this storyline happening outside of the films. And I was wondering why people seemed to know so much that I didn't know because I'd seen the film. So I went and I bought the big book of the expanded universe that had everything you need to know. It was incredibly boring, but I read it and I learned it. And that's when I found out that, no, we're not doing it anymore. So I wasted all my time.
Yeah, I will say the Zahn novels were really good, but I mean that's that's
Timothy
just
Zahn?
I'm not sure of his first name, but he's the one who basically introduced like Mara Jade Skywalker and the twins and
Yeah,
those.
I know
Yeah,
what you're talking about. I think that he's one of the writers that's very good, right?
yeah, he was
Yeah.
like his EU stuff should have been, but anyway, again, shoulda, woulda.
I don't know if
Um,
Linda, who's on, by the way, hello, shout out to Linda, the gamer
oh
gal.
yeah, they should
People who are
turn
listening
comments.
to the podcast can go check out her YouTube channel sometime, by the way. I don't know if Linda has any idea about which the first name of Zahn is that wrote these, but anyway, go
Yeah,
on.
I think it is Timothy Zahn though. I'm almost pretty sure that is. So Jason, you brought up a point. Now that so Hasbro, there was a lot. I don't want to call it bad blood, but there was a lot of trying to find a
Well, there
word
was a
that's
lawsuit, right?
well, yeah, because um, Hickman and Weiss wanted to continue writing Dragonlance with their vision, and they're like, no, 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 we have to write it to our audiences now, so you need to change all these things, as
Yeah.
Hasbro does.
Which, to
And
be fair, is exactly what TSR used to do back in the day too. So,
yeah, no, I know,
companies are going to company.
yeah, but this is basically now it's under Random House. So I'm hoping that Hickman and Weiss can tell the story that they need to do instead of having to like go through all the little pigeonholes with Wizards of the Coast and Hasbro to publish the story. So
It does
because
sound like that's sort of there, since there were the layoffs, and apparently the layoffs really hit the book publishing arm of WotC.
yeah,
That means it falls back to Random House, who, from what I've read in N World, the speculation is that Random House will be more hands off with the direction of the story.
yeah, which I think which will be nice. Actually, if that is the case, I'm going to look forward to reading the new stories because I I attempted to I got it on ebook and I attempted to read the last Dragonlance book they did um, alongside the new D&D 5e whatever the source book for it,
Mm-hmm.
and it literally was horrible. It was just kind of like, wow, either they got really horrible in writing as they got older, or they basically had someone standing over slapping their hands like every 20 seconds. So it was just really, it's not what I expected from earlier Hickman and Weiss. So again, could be age, could be WotC, who knows.
Are there audiobooks of these?
Oh
I
yeah,
need, I need audiobooks for this, I think.
I have the original Chronicles on Audible because
Okay. I will
I'm
go.
lazy and I don't like reading anymore.
Well, I will check for those on Hoopla because I like to get all of my audiobooks free from the public library. So hopefully they'll have.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
I don't like to give money to Audible anymore. I just have gotten very tired of that company and the bad decisions they make. And I'm just going to go off on a tangent here. They did two things that make me not give them money anymore. They got rid of my favorite feature in the app because I like to fall asleep to audiobooks. And so they used to have a feature where you could control the app without having to look at it. You could just swipe.
Oh,
I don't know why. They just got rid of it. So, okay, no more listening to audiobooks as I go to sleep. And then they took my favorite books in the world, the Discworld series, and they made a new set of recordings for all of them. Now, to be fair, they're good. The new set of recordings are dramatic, almost like radio plays. So they're great actors. They're awesome. But they took away all of the old ones with my favorite narrators, like Nigel Planer and Tony Robinson and everybody. So, long story short, I'm tired of that company. And the good news is anybody who has a public library card probably has access through their library to use Hoopla. No, actually, Hoopla is only one of them. There's another. It doesn't matter. They have apps find out from your library. They have free streaming audiobooks. You don't have to pay for it. So that's my commercial.
Okay. Yeah.
Back to the main story. Sorry.
Oh no. That's kind of pretty much it. I mean, there, like Jason, you mentioned, there has been a lot of discussion. I'm sure you're going to have people who got into Dragonlance through WotC just recently in the past couple of years probably poo-poo it because, and again, I mean, honestly, and I think a lot of people saw this as well, is that in the original Chronicles, because both Weiss and Hickman are Mormons, and there's a very heavy Mormon overtone to the Chronicles.
In sort of like a C.S. Lewis kind of way.
Yeah, it's and I can't call out the points because I'm not Mormon, but there's a lot of similarities to some of the stories in the Book of Latter-day Saints and Dragonlance.
Okay. That makes sense. That makes total sense.
So, but I don't know. Like I said, I enjoyed it. I look forward to 2026, and hopefully, maybe that's the time we'll journey back out to somewhere like Gary Con again to have Margaret sign a copy or something. So
yeah, I think everybody who's a fan of theirs will be excited. And I know, actually, I don't know this. I believe. So speaking of things that Tracy Hickman has written, he wrote my favorite adventure module series for the original first edition AD&D, which was the Desert of Desolation series.
Oh, it's awesome series.
Just amazingly well made. And there was some speculation that they might not claim them, WotC, because I guess there was some concern about whether they were culturally appropriate. I don't think it's really a problem. But the good news is that from what I've seen, WotC is doing a new set of Desert of Desolation, and I believe that Tracy Hickman is writing them. So it's all good news, I think, to see Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman writing things for the main line is just good news. They're great writers.
Oh, they are. They are.
Yeah.
All right. So we're going to pop into the next story. This one will probably be brief. Linda, if you're still there, definitely would love your input or to say hi or what you know of it. Because so actually, let me go to screen share again. So I'm not using the usual weekly when I'm using StreamYard, which honestly to me works a lot better, but it still has its things here. So there we go.
For anybody who's listening on audio, Peter is usually the director on the show, but James is also good at this sort of thing. So whatever's coming on the screen is all James's fault today, and it's good. So let's make sure we tell people what we see.
All right. Yep. So you're right. Wow. 6,948,038. Holy wow. That's crazy.
So we are now looking at the Kickstarter page for Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere SPG, which apparently begins with the Stormlight Archive, etc. So yes, this is the Kickstarter for Brandon Sanderson's Cosmere RPG.
So, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say the number that I always like to look at on a Kickstarter, the one that impresses me the most, is the number of backers. It is 23,640, and it just went up to 641 as I began that sentence. Backers. So that is a good sign.
It is. So Brandon Sanderson, as an author, had finished. Oh my God. Of course, now I have to say it, and I had it in my head the whole time. So he finished the Wheel of Time series after the original author had died. So he picked, I think he did the last book or the last two books of the story. And he went on to do his own stuff. The only title that I know of, because my wife Mary is a big fan of it, is something called Mistborn. Okay. Which is kind of a world where magic works by using elements, like different metals and things like that. And that's that's kind of how magic works. I actually have a copy of the original Mistborn RPG somewhere on my shelf. But the thing is that I mean, he's a decent author. I don't know about his other projects, but this also just kind of is a testament to how many people actually like him as an author. That they are, I mean, we have, like, so we have friends in the industry who just went up again, uh, who do Kickstarters and make, a couple of mil. Stefan Picorni, like with,
Dragon,
whatever.
Dwarven Forge. I was
Yeah,
gonna
with Dwarven Forge.
Dwarven
Yeah, we're on
Forge.
it. We're both on it tonight. With Dwarven Forge, but that might be a couple of mil, maybe three, but not sure if I've ever seen and this still has 18 days to go. So is this going to be like the most? This is a question we should look up for like next week's news or something. But what has been the highest, the highest pledging of a RPG Kickstarter?
It would be a good question. I mean, so Brandon Sanderson also holds the record for the biggest Kickstarter purely for fiction.
Ooh.
And I think that's the thing is that he I don't know when this was, but he did 4 secret novels, and in its first 72 hours, its first 3 days. Wait, is that how many days is 72 hours? No, that's whatever.
3
I can't
days.
math.
Yeah, something like
in
that.
The first 3 days, it passed $20 million for the novels.
Mm-hmm.
And it ended up, I believe, hitting about 42 million when it was all finished. So I think what this really shows here is that the number of people that want to play an RPG in his world is a very significant portion of that. And it's going to be less because I think there's always going to be more people who are readers than are gamers.
Yeah.
But this is a very big percentage of it.
Yeah, I'm trying to think like an author that if they wrote something like an RPG, that it would be and I'm sure in all the Kickstarters I've backed somewhere there is one of those books. But
well, imagine if Neil Gaiman wrote an RPG.
Oh yeah, I'd be all over that.
Oh yeah. or Andy Weir. I would love to play an RPG written by Andy Weir, the guy who wrote The Martian.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Can you imagine him writing a solo survival game?
Oh, wow. Yeah, that would be kind of fun.
I really hope that this kind of result for Brandon Sanderson causes other authors who are already gamers, of course, to think about doing similar things.
Yeah, I mean, especially, but I think it's also too is that a lot of authors. So Brandon Sanderson, I take it as someone who is possibly a gamer or at least understands it.
I don't think you make a game like this if you weren't already interested. I don't think that this would be something that a person would want to pursue otherwise.
Or there's like authors that I don't think anyone would care if they wrote a book. Well, so George R.R. Martin wrote Wild Cards, which I think had an RPG.
Oh, yes. And I should point out that my good friend Kevin Andrew Murphy just had a re-release. He's been writing for Wild Cards since the 1990s.
Oh, okay.
He just had a re-release of his first Wild Cards book. And Kevin's a huge gamer, of course, as well. So, yeah. And of course, we know George R.R. Martin's a big gamer, too.
Yeah. But all of his stuff has been sourced, though. So it's not like he really had his name on it. Because there was 2 different Song of Fire and Ice RPGs.
Yeah.
And yeah, there was Wild Cards, which I
don't think anybody wants George R.R. Martin to take a break from his writing to do something else at the moment. They're like, yeah, nobody's thinking, oh, he's got nothing on his plate.
Yeah, but to look at it, I mean, just quickly going down, the artwork's beautiful. It's definitely
a little generic.
But it's still a little bit more inspiring than some more modern artwork I've seen.
Better than what I'm seeing from WotC. I will say that it looks better than that.
Like,
It's not that different from it. I don't know. This is just me. I'm probably in the minority here, but I think when you see art from a major release, it generally looks boring. It looks beautiful, but there's no soul. There's the artist, at least. I don't know. This is probably an unfair thing to say, because I was about to say it doesn't look like the artist put themselves into it, like they didn't have their own style. Maybe I'm wrong. This could actually be exactly the opposite of what I said. This might be exactly what the artist had in their heart, and I don't want to disparage it because it's beautiful work. It's just it doesn't trip my imagination.
Okay, no, fair enough. Those are the same words I would use talking about the WotC 2024 handbook. I look at the art and I'm just going, I don't want to play D&D. I kind of want to go to a coffee shop or eat cookies or something.
Yeah, I mean, so Hambone, that we talked about before, has a great podcast, and they were talking about a book, just an art book, and he was going on about how he just loved to look at the drawings in it. He got so pulled in looking for little details and just connecting with it. And that's the way I've felt about a lot of art. You can just sit there and just fall into it. But art like this, I feel like it's just there to create an atmosphere.
Yeah, I mean, I want to say at least 20%, maybe 25% of the RPGs that I've bought in my lifetime were based on looking at a cover and going, that's badass. I want to play in that world. I don't care what it is, and the art sold me. There's certain things that I will just go sight unseen and go, that looks really cool. I'm buying it. I don't care.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with judging a book by its cover if the cover is really good.
Yeah. And then everything else kind of looks meh in a way. It's a D20 based system with some mechanics that look like, I don't know who designed the game mechanics. As someone who designs game mechanics, I'm just going, this is about as boring as the artwork.
But I mean, to be fair, I don't think the idea is for somebody who doesn't read his books to think, oh, the game looks good on its own, I'm just going to play it because of. I think the idea is if you love this world, you're going to want to play in it.
Yeah, no, that fair enough. It's kind of like I've been in games that are based on.
What was that wall of people that you just? Sorry. So for people listening, James is going down through the Kickstarter right now, and we're just looking at a wall. Oh, that's the team. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. And let's just see. This is I just saw the team, the wall of white faces, and I was wondering what it was. So, okay, great.
Yeah, it's yeah, don't get me started, because it's like I love the fact that the artwork is very diverse, right? And it's diverse in a way that doesn't make me go, oh my God, they're just doing this to like appease somebody. So the artwork is very diverse and actually very beautifully done. And like this picture here for Stonewalker's Stormlight Adventure, you have the Black Warrior, the huge sword. Yeah, I think probably, I don't know, Indian guy, and there's a black guy who kind of looks like Neo from the Matrix. But anyway, this I feel is well done. But it's funny how you go to, like, you look at all the art and it's so diverse. Then you look at the team behind it and they're all like, Bob and Chad and
yeah. And that's the thing. If you really want to create more inclusive games, you should have a more diverse group of people making it. And look, I know glass houses, right? Because here we are, the three white dudes of Solarian Games. What do we have to say about it? But hey, we don't have a budget to hire people right now. And, when we actually start building people, who knows what we'll look like. But I don't want to belabor the point.
Yeah.
I think the thing is, it's very impressive, the Kickstarter that he's done for it. And it does look like the kind of game that'll probably people will want to pick up even if they don't know it. And I do hope that other authors take a cue from this.
No, absolutely. All right. So actually the next topic up, Jason, is yours.
Hey, it's mine. Okay. So
I will share screen.
Yeah, share the screen. We have some news. I'll get up closer to the mic. We have some news about the latest digital offering coming from Hasbro/WotC, which is called at the moment Project Sigil. And this has not been on my radar up until now. I think other people who are more plugged in might have known that this was going on all along. It's still in beta, a closed beta, so the public is not able to go and just sign up and play it with it yet. But let me back up and say what this is. So first of all, I'm going to say what it's not, because this is what the developers wanted to be clear about. This is not a new virtual tabletop or VTT. This sounds like something brand new. And the headline here says that Project Sigil is the Minecraft of D&D. I think it's a good pull quote to get people to read this, but I don't think it's really accurate. What it basically is, it's a toy box. So they are giving people a chance to recreate digitally on a screen what you would normally do with a lot of terrain and miniatures on your table. So it gives you the chance to build a beautiful looking 3-dimensional world. And just kind of looking on the screen, I think there's some pictures of the actual world. Yeah, it's done in sort of isometric, 3/4 top-down view, like you would see in maybe a traditional Legend of Zelda kind of game. But no, that's not fair, because this is much more realistic artwork. It basically looks like you're looking at a tabletop with incredibly well done diorama, right? You've got your terrain and your trees and your roads and your miniatures, and you can build them however you want. And they come with they'll have some packs for things like Baldur's Gate, etc. But importantly, it doesn't have any of the elements of a video game. So even though you have your characters that you can move around, they are going to be just like miniatures. They're in a pose, they stay in that pose. And the interview with the developers, I thought, had a really good point. They said they could have made something with lots of animations, and when your character moves from one place to another, it could look realistic. It looked like a really good video game. But they were afraid that would take away from the imagination of it all. That when you're playing a tabletop game, you're projecting your imagination onto what's happening, and they didn't want to get in the way of that. So really all this is, it's not a virtual tabletop, because it doesn't, at least as far as I understand, it's not going to have all of the accoutrement of something like a VTT, like a Roll20 with all that stuff in it. And it doesn't even have any chat or audio or video, because they said they figure you've already got a Discord or a Zoom, and they didn't want to give you one more thing to sign up for. So all it really is a big toy box. Here's a bunch of toys, miniatures and terrain and characters, and here's a place where you can put them, and then you can all manipulate it together in the middle of your game.
All right. Yeah. I mean, I'm looking at this one picture here. I don't know if there's any. There's down here. There's another one. It kind of feels like Conan Exiles, which is a game that I kind of religiously play. Imagine Minecraft in the world of Conan. Okay. So, but it uses Unreal Engine. Everything looks hyper realistic, and you basically go at you're a prisoner who ends up in the exile lands, and you have to start from scratch gathering resources. And then ultimately, as you level up through the game, you build castles, and you can build, you can have the thralls or companions, as they're called, where where they can they fight for you, and you can set them up, and so this is what it kind of feels like. So I'm kind of excited, and oddly enough, I didn't hear about it till today. But when I went to the Wizards of the Coast site for it, apparently I'm already signed up for it. So I'm like, okay.
I do that. I sign up for things, and then later I go to sign up again, and they're like, oh no, we have you. I was like, what? When did I do that?
But this looks fun, and honestly, this might be something I might be interested in, just because, so when Baldur's Gate 3 came out, I kind of did that, like, oh, this sounds really cool. And then my wife and I, Mary, played it, and we're just like, yeah, this kind of sucks. I don't see what's so fun about this. So,
Yeah.
$60 down the drain. But
I mean, that's the thing. Video games are video games. Tabletop games are tabletop games. They each have their place, but they're for different things. The whole point of playing a tabletop game, aside from the social interaction, which I guess is the other whole point, but the other whole point is that anything can be attempted. And you can't do that with a video game. If you go off the edge of the map, it's over. If you try to do something the programmers didn't prepare for, you can't. And so what I like about this is it's not trying to be a video game. It's just trying to say, if you don't have either the money or the space or the time for all of these miniatures and all of this terrain, you can have it digitally and you can build it with the same amount of imagination. I think it's a great idea for Wizards if they're talking about, we mentioned a couple of weeks ago when we looked at the Q2 earnings that the digital side is a big thing for them, right?
It is. I just saw it was all over YouTube. People talking about the monetization manager or whatever that WotC's trying to hire. So, but that's my fear, right? So with Conan Exiles, going back to that game, I bought the base game, and there are DLCs, right? But the DLCs are these
content.
Yep, but they're big. So if you want all like the stuff from Katai and Conan, which is the Japanese, right? You can buy that DLC, and you're going to get everything from that set, which is fine. I don't expect them not to monetize their game. However, this kind of seems like it is going to be very piecemeal, where it's kind of like, oh, well, you want this type of wall? Well, that's going to be $1.99, or that's going to be $5, and that's one of the reasons I stopped playing free to play games, because I hate being nickeled and dimed.
Yes.
Like, just I'll give you money if you want $100. Just I'll give you $100 for it. Just give me everything. Like don't nickel and dime me to death, because that's just going to annoy me.
Right. And I think that, to be fair, I think that is what they're probably going to do, because if they want to really maximize their money on this, they're going to make a lot more money selling $1 and $2 here and there than they are going to sell, like you said, $100 up front. What I like about that, though, is a couple of different things. First of all, I probably go against the grain here, but I like it when WotC makes a lot of money, because that means they keep investing in Dungeons and Dragons. They keep making this 800-pound gorilla, which keeps the industry big, which keeps the hobby big, which means the rest of us can get more stuff made too. So that's the first part for me. But the other thing is, I guess there's two things to it. Number one, if I don't want to pay for all of that, I don't have to. There's nothing about Dungeons and Dragons that requires me to use any digital tool, so it's completely optional. And then the final thing I would say about it is, if they make this and it's very popular and they're nickel and diming everybody to death, I'm positive someone else will come out with another one that's cheaper.
Yeah, that's true.
So I love this. I hope they do great with it, and I hope that it inspires other people to make their own and make money on other things too.
Yeah, I could be a Luddite sometimes when it comes to gaming. It's just like I want the book and the heart and the dice in front of me, but I'm also a video gamer, so that's where that piece would come in, where I'd look at this and go, if this is anything like the stuff I like to play, then I'm going to get involved. But also, I just don't want to end up at the end of it, pulling you, like we'll talk at a diner or something, going, yeah, Jason, I'm now like $600 into this D&D thing, and I can't stop buying stuff.
And meanwhile, the guy who plays Warhammer 2 booths over is laughing his head off.
Yeah. Oh yeah, try $6,000. Yeah.
Yeah, I did. I saw a cartoon about that, where somebody's like showing their girlfriend yes, this is my new army for Warhammer. It's 2000. It's a 2,000 point army. And she's like, what? Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you said $2,000. And he's
Oh,
like, yeah. The way I can see using this, because I'm with you, I'm going to keep. By the way, your keyboard is really loud on the stream.
oh, okay. Sorry.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's right
everything that
under the
happens.
mic. I was just
Yeah,
typing
it's
to
right under
Linda.
the
All right,
right under
no,
the mic.
Linda, it's not going to be a monthly thing like D&D Beyond. It'll probably be, well, and again,
We
this
don't
is my
know.
assumption. Yeah, we don't know, but I have a feeling, well, yeah, I'm hoping that it's something that you can buy for a base set so you can have to play. And then you would then be nickeled and dimed to death because you want the elf with the longsword, or you want the castle wall with the crenellations on it, and those would be extra pieces. But they could go to way of D&D Beyond, where and their VTT, where it's like you pay a monthly fee, and if you don't pay, you don't get to play in the world. So we'll
I
see.
mean, from a business perspective, this is why subscriptions are so popular is for the businesses, because when you have a regular stream of money that you can count on, you can budget for it. And if you have to count on people buying things only when they want to, then you're subject to the whims of the market. So they're going to want people to just keep paying every month. The only question is going to be, will the market support that? And I don't know. If
Yeah.
for me, I would like to have this Project Sigil. I would like to go to a convention or to a friend's house where they've got a great big video table and see it there, basically replacing the traditional table, and just have everything be digital and you can move it around and play with it. And I'd like to do it there a couple of times, but I would not do it at home. I don't think I would want to. I'm just imagining if I wanted to play one of my favorite settings or my own adventure, the amount of work that would go into setting all of that up, it's still a lot. I don't think I would want to do all that.
Yeah. No. Well, like I said, it'll be out soon, and I'm sure we will see what what the future brings.
Yeah.
So let's head into our last story. We'll make this one a little on the quick side, but it's I feel it's important to call out the Ennies 2024. And the Ennies, if you're not familiar with the Ennies, if you're a role player, you probably are. But it is a thing that happens at Gen Con. I think it's been going on since the 90s.
Probably. I don't know.
Yeah, mid 90s, and they've changed a lot of the rules because I'm actually an Ennies nominee for one of my games. Spooky Beans was
For this
nominated.
year.
No, for like 2007.
Oh,
It
okay.
was a
Well,
lot.
no, that's still really good. And of course, Solarian Games, we have one Ennies nomination from 2 years ago when we got nominated for Weird Horror. So
Yeah.
we're tangentially aware of the whole thing.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. So here are the people, and this is a huge list too. I'm only going to talk about best game because this goes into like best gaming podcast, best artwork, best free adventure, best shoes. It's just it's a very very deep list. But I at least want to talk about the the games here, and some of these I don't know, so I'm going to sound really stupid about it. But I'll go with the ones I do know. So and I'm showing the list here on the screen. So the for those watching the stream or on the podcast, whatever, I'm confused now. All right. So the first one is Kobolds Ate My Baby, the Orange Book. So
Ooh, yay!
Kobolds Ate My Baby is one of the coolest games you can ever play at a con.
Yeah.
Especially if you're drunk or just very giddy as a person. It's also one of the loudest games. Like if you're in a room
Yes.
with someone playing this game and you're trying to run a serious game, it ain't gonna happen. It's
No,
just not.
I've been next to a Kobolds Ate My Baby table before, and you're right.
But it's part of the game. You can't go, hey guys, will you keep it down because
That's the
It's
game.
Yep, that's the game.
And
But
we can't forget why the art is so great, because it's by John Kovalik.
yeah,
So I mean, that's automatically great.
and it's a fun beer and pretzels game.
Mm.
It's something you could pick up really easily, teach people really easily, and just get into it. And I like games like that. There's a game published a few years back called The Adventures of Baron Munchausen,
Yeah.
which actually we played at GaryCon, like Pete, myself, and a few others. That one year we were there with Satine,
Mm-hmm.
and it was fun. It's just it's definitely a drinking game, but it can get obnoxious after a while.
Was that the year that we were working on Top Secret? We were still calling it by the code name.
I yeah, I think it was before because that next year I think that's when we had the major release where we had the big banners and everything, and
Yeah.
we're hoping that WotC wasn't going to beat us up for the name, but they were really cool about it. But
Yeah. And of course now we officially own it, so it's all good.
Yeah.
So keep going.
Yep, the next game is Not the End. I'm just kind of going back here.
At least the art's more original.
Yeah, it says Not the End is a role-playing game that tells the adventures of heroes willing to risk everything what they hold dear. It's with an original system called Hexis. And I can't tell if it's science. It looks science fiction-y, but there's really not much to go. Oh, maybe it's fantasy with some dude on fire. I don't know.
Well, so the artwork on the cover, it's very monochromatic, which is cool. It's for whatever reason, it makes me think of oh gosh, now I can't think of the author whose books this reminds me of, so never mind. But it's very monochromatic. It definitely, it's got the very digital art look. It's very flat, but there's somebody coming up out of a group of other adventurers, and the person coming up out of them seems to be naked from the waist up, and he's got his head leaning back, and there's sort of a hexagon around him like a halo, and a little flame coming from his chest. So it's at least intriguing, and apparently the hexagon is related to the game system. Okay.
Yeah, they also did Cowboy Bebop, the role-playing game.
Okay, that's good.
And Journey of the Ragnarok, which sounds really familiar, but no, this is not what I'm thinking of. But the game must be good. Like that's the thing I could say, is that if people are kind of if it won the Ennies. Well,
now hold on. These are the nominees, right, that we're looking at?
No, these are the ones who came out as the winners of each category.
Okay, maybe I'm misunderstanding something, because I thought only one thing could win best game, and that it was Shadow Dark.
Because this is hold on, let me go to the top, but I thought this was
this is nominees. Yeah, so we see the gold and silver winners here. So for the best game, the winner was Shadow Dark, and there were as we know, Shadow Dark has a lot of awards this year, which I think is a testament not only to the game itself, but also to the fact that I'm going to pronounce incorrectly, and I'm sorry, Kelsey Dion.
That's how I pronounce it. Yeah.
Okay, I just think she did an amazing job of getting the game out and building a community and having feedback and getting people playing it beforehand. And it's a good lesson, when you're doing something, to really get out there and be part of the community. So so Outgunned was the silver, Shadow Dark was the gold, and
I know about Salvage Union, Leyline Press. I will kind of leave it out, but they were a bunch of Twitter troublemakers about a year ago, 2 years ago.
I don't know what that means.
People who get on Twitter and cause fights and other things.
Okay. Not.
So, but okay. So I'm just kind of like, they're who they are. Yay them. But Outgunned. Actually, I'm running Outgunned at ShireCon.
Fun.
Yeah. So Outgunned is an action movie role-playing game, but it's just done very well.
Oh, yes. This is the very cinematic game.
Yeah. This is the one where someone did all their research and really came up with something that not only feels like an action movie, but the game design facilitates the action movie. So it's really, really well done.
Excellent. Just a
Yeah.
couple other things I was noticing here. I don't know what this category is above in there. Best free game. So apparently the gold was from Chaosium was Rivers of London, the domestic, which I'm assuming is based on the books, Rivers of London.
I think so, yeah.
So I love those books. That sounds like I need to check that out. Although I'm a little sad that something called Heckin' Good Doggos didn't win, because I mean that's a great name, but I don't know what it is. Maybe, yeah.
Yeah, but as you can see, well, as you can't see, those of you are listening in, but Shadow Dark won Best Rules, and Pathfinder Player Core won silver on that.
Yeah, there was also, I noticed there was I think Shadow Dark had a gold for best layout. Do you want to go up and see who else was in the layout competition?
Sure.
We had best layout and design. So the winner was Shadow Dark, and CBR PNK augmented from MythWorks. I have to admit, I'm not familiar with a lot of these, so I'll have to go and look and see. Okay, CBR. Oh, I have seen CBR. Okay, so up on the screen right now from MythWorks is the CBR PNK. I mean, I guess it's cyberpunk now that I realize it. It's a very cyberpunk looking game. It's sort of got a bit of the Morkborg with all the yellow.
I was about to say, it just reminds me of Morkborg.
Honestly, when I see it opened up there, it looks sort of like a cross between Morkborg and Mothership in terms of the layout. And Mothership is one of the best looking games, I think, that's out there right now. So it's good.
I finally got my box set, so I was very happy.
Excellent. And Mothership's a really good game too. But this one looks great.
Hey, look, it's a Pete.
What Pete? Is Pete in the picture?
He's in the chat.
in the chat. I have my full screen on, so I didn't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, no, okay. That's Pete in a blue wig, and he was the model for the.
Yeah, I don't know. I was looking closely at the picture to see if maybe Pete was in the game, and I was like, oh, what do you know?
All right, so that's
very exciting set of NEs winners. Congratulations to everybody who won and who was nominated.
Definitely. All right. Well, I think on that note, it's time to wrap up. So sorry, Pete, you popped on at the last minute, but you can watch the stream or listen to the podcast and everything. So it's time to end. And hold on, let me come over here and do this and say that we will see you all next week. Adios.
Bye-bye.